Position, please. My name's Laura. Happy Sunday. Go ahead and close your eyes. Sit up tall. So imagine two opposing forces as your hips grow heavier. You feel rooted down through your sitting bones into your mat, into the floor, and into the earth. Then from that rooting down and heaviness, you can grow taller through the sides of your body. You can lift more through the front of your heart. And you can lengthen up through the crown of your head. Deepen your breath. And allow your breath to move down into your belly, expanding and contracting your diaphragm so you feel movement in your belly. And just take a moment to relish in your breath. Let your breath wash over you. Let it bring you here into your body. So that you show up for yourself in your own experience. Is there anything that you can soften? Is there anything that you can let go of that doesn't need to be tense? That doesn't need to be working right now? Is there any way that you can breathe that serves you better? Bring your hands to prayer at your chest and bow your mind to your heart. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice, you can do that now. Lift your chin from your chest, open your eyes, and release your hands away from your heart. You can push play on the playlist now. If you don't have access to it yet, it is in the chat now. It's also in the comments on Facebook. If you haven't seen that, on YouTube, sorry, if you haven't seen that one already. And please make your way into a child's pose. You'll make your way onto all fours. Close your big toes together so that they touch. Separate your knees a little bit wider apart than your hips, so that you can let your belly settle down between your thighs. Set your hips toward your heels. You don't actually have to make contact there. Your hips never have to touch your heels. And I do want your head to rest on something. If the floor feels far away, you can stack your forearms, rest your head down, or use a block. So once you make it to the shape in your child's pose, check in with that same deep, mindful breathing we started with. So we've created a new sensation. Can you breathe into it? Continue breathing slowly. The next time time you inhale, stay in the pose, but can you breathe more into the back of your rib cage like you're blowing up a balloon? And then that subsequent exhale, can you soften the back of your rib cage down through your body toward the front of your rib cage, like you're melting your belly down between your thighs. And I invite you, this is optional, I invite you to take your knees a little wider apart than they are now. If you're at maximum capacity, just skip that intensification. If you're feeling too much, go the other way. You can back off if you feel too much. But when you take your knees slightly wider apart, wider than you usually do, we'll be introducing, because we've opened up slightly in the inner thighs, we'll be introducing a more intense stretch there. Still have all the same actions. Move your hips toward your heels. Soften the back of your body down to the front of your body. And soften the front of your body down through your legs toward the floor. Lift yourself up to a tabletop of all fours. You'll close your knees until they're directly underneath your hips. Place your wrists underneath your shoulders and spread your fingers. Take a big inhale, look up. Drop your belly and fill your lungs. Exhale, cat pose. Press your spine to the sky. Tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly. Lift your heart. Lift the crown of your head. Exhale, cat pose. Press your spine to the sky. Tuck your chin, tuck your tail. Couple more times. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly. Fill your lungs. Exhale, cat pose. Press your spine to the sky. Tuck your chin. Inhale, cow. Drop your belly. Tuck your toes. Down dog. Exhale. Stretch your hips up and back. You can keep your knees profoundly bent to create more length in your spine. Or you could explore sensation as you press back more through one thigh bone than the other, which creates the action of pedaling out your legs. I'm feeling a lot in my lower legs right now, in the backs of my calves and Achilles. So I'm not going to expect my heels necessarily to touch the floor, especially in the beginning. Your heels don't ever have to touch the floor in down dog. It's not a goal. It's not a measurement of if you're doing the pose correctly. It's just a thing that happens if you have open Achilles. Walk your hands back to meet your feet. You'll be in a standing forward fold at the back of your mat. Bend your knees at least a little bit. You might bend them a lot to rest your belly on your thighs. Grab a hold of opposite elbows or upper arms, wherever you can grab, and let your head hang so that the back of your neck is long. Notice what happens if you shift forward and backwards, noticing how much weight you're feeling in your heels versus the balls of your feet. Can you find a balance there? Usually the heels are too light. Release your arms back down toward the floor. Bend your knees a little bit more. Drop your head to relax your neck and roll slowly to standing. Let your arms hang. Your chin will be the last to lift. As you slowly rise, make your legs straight and strong and lift your chin to neutral. Inhale, stretch your arms out and up. Take a huge breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Lead with your heart. Drop your head and your arms. Inhale, halfway lift. Pull the front of your heart forward through your shoulders. Exhale, just fold and empty your lungs completely. Again, halfway lift. Inhale, lengthen your spine like you want your back to be more parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold. Last time, inhale, halfway lift. Slide your shoulder blades down your back, away from your ears. Downward dog. Exhale, bend your knees as much as you need to take your hands all the way out toward the top of your mat. Step your right foot forward between your hands. Help it if it doesn't make it so your foot is flat. Set your left knee down onto the ground and untuck your left toes. You can either keep your hands on the floor or place your hands on top of your right thigh. If you like to reach your arms up to the ceiling, go for it. I'm going to keep my hands on top of my right thigh for now because I feel enough here without lifting up and away with my arms. Regardless of where your arms are, whether the hands are on the floor or your arms are up or anywhere in between, slide your shoulder blades down your back. These will be short holds relatively in the beginning, so no expectations for the outcome. Take one more huge breath in. Exhale, release your hands to the floor. If they aren't, they frame the right foot. Half split, start to straighten your right leg, point your right toes straight up. You'll walk your hands back until they're underneath your shoulders. If that transition moved you to where you're sitting back on your left heel, push your right foot forward until your hips are over your left knee. Your right leg does not have to be straight, but I do want you to flex your right foot strongly. Rebend your right knee so you can place your right foot flat on the floor. Last pose in this beginning sequence, lizard. Heel toe your right foot over to the right edge of your mat and move your right arm to the inside of your right foot. If you feel like your left leg is really close underneath you, like I'm demoing, move your left knee more backwards so that your left leg feels long, sort of straight back behind you. Turn your right toes open so your right foot angles 45 degrees away from you, and let your right knee open slightly away from your right arm. Keep your right foot flat and press down through the ball mound of the big toe there. So hopefully it's reminiscent of the sensation that you were feeling in that first hip opening child's pose, but asymmetrically, of course, and with the added benefit of the hip flexor stretch on the left side. Downward dog, tuck your back toes, lift your left knee, and step back your right foot next to the left. Step your left foot forward between your hands, help it if it doesn't make it, and set your right knee down onto the ground. Untuck your right toes. Move your hips down and forward. Welcome to the pose. You can either stay here, or you can feel a little bit more by taking your hands on top of your left thigh, or by reaching your arms up to the ceiling. Move your shoulders down away from your ears, down onto your back. And really the focus here is in the front of the right hip, so the hip flexors of the right side, feeling a gentle opening, without forcing, without extreme amounts of sensation, and without expectation of outcome. Take one more huge breath in. Exhale, release your hands to the floor if they aren't, so that they frame your left foot. Half split, start to straighten your left leg, point your left toes straight up as you flex your foot. So in that transition, I wanted to feel more in the back of my left leg. You see my left leg is pretty bent. So instead of moving the hips back to straighten the left leg, I'm just going to push my left heel more forward. When my left foot goes more forward, I can then straighten my leg while keeping my right thigh bone vertical. Send your breath down into the back of your left leg. And be truthful with yourself about the amount of sensation that you're feeling and that you need to feel. Bend your left leg. For lizard, we'll walk the hands forward. Heel toe your left foot to the left edge of your mat. And bring your left hand and arm inside the left foot. Angle your left foot so it turns away from you, just about 45 degrees. Keep your left foot flat, so instead of turning open onto the outer edge of the left foot, keep your left foot flat. You can let your left knee open away from your left shoulder. And move your hips down and forward. A couple breaths. Okay, downward dog. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and step your left foot back next to your right. Inhale, plank pose. Tone your belly, hug your ribs in, stack your shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, lower all the way to your belly. Untuck your toes. Inhale, cobra, lift your heart. You can let it be a baby cobra here as you start to warm up into the back muscles. Slide your shoulder blades down your back and make the back of your neck long. Press the tops of your feet harder down, and then press the pinky toe edges of your feet more down into the floor. Take one more inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, lower down, forehead to the floor. Downward dog, you can go through tabletop or a push-up to get back. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back behind you, stay here. Bend your right knee, stack your right hip open on top of your left hip. So lift your right inner knee up away from the floor and press your right heel to your left. Close your right armpit toward your left big toe. Then straighten your right leg through center, inhale. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, crescent lunge. Rise to standing, send your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, sit deeply into the bend in your right knee. Plug your right thigh bone up and into the right hip. Feel light and open through your side bodies and the front of your heart. But root down through your legs and your feet. Take one more inhale, extend your fingers higher. Exhale, place your hands on the floor and step forward. Left foot meets the right. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold deeply. Inhale, rise to standing. Reach your arms out and up. Exhale, Tadasana. Bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Inhale, stretch your arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Hinge at your hips instead of rounding your spine. Inhale, halfway lift. Slide your shoulder blade down your back. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Put your hands down, step back, and lower slowly either halfway or all the way. Your choice, cobra or up dog. Lift your heart, either a little or a lot. Downward dog, exhale. Inhale, lift your left leg. Bend your left knee, stack your left hip open on top of your right. So it's like you want the front of your pelvis to turn open to the left edge of your mat. Lift your left inner knee up away from the floor and press your left heel behind you. Then close your left armpit toward your right big toe. Then straighten your left leg, inhale. Exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Stay on the ball of your back foot, crescent lunge. Tone your belly and rise. So we have all 10 toes pointing straight exactly forward. We're on the ball of the back foot. The back heel is spiked up. If you feel like your back heel is pressing down behind you, your stance might be too short, you can pop the heel up. And if that makes you feel like you've gone way too far forward, take up a longer stance. Feel rooted down with your hips, your legs, and your feet. Then lift up and out with the sides of your body, your heart, and your arms. Take another inhale, reach up more with your 10 fingers. Exhale, place your hands on the floor and step forward, right foot next to the left. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to standing, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Hold here for a breath. Inhale, stretch your arms out and high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen a lot. Exhale, Chaturanga. That's the Sanskrit name for mid-plank. In one exhale, you put your hands down, move your feet back and lower, halfway or all the way. Cobra or up dog, lift your heart, slide your shoulder blades down. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold in down dog. Spread your fingers wide. And stretch your hips. Bring your ears in line with your arms if you feel like they aren't. So that makes the back of your neck long. It makes sure that you aren't sinking into the flexibility of your shoulders or going too deeply into the flexibility of the shoulder joints in this pose. But it also helps if you're not quite there, it helps you to make the shape of the pose. If it feels like it's taking you deeper into it, bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward between your hands. Exhale, feet forward, step, walk, or hop to the top. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, forward fold, empty your lungs. Inhale, rise to standing, make your legs strong, reach your arms high. Exhale, bring your hands to prayer at your chest. Inhale, stretch your arms out and up, deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Empty your lungs through the end of this movement. Then inhale, halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana is a Sanskrit name. Exhale, Chaturanga, step or jump back. Lower slowly, bend your elbows straight back. Inhale, lift your heart, up dog or cobra. Move your shoulders back more. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Hold and breathe. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, Crescent Lunge, rise to standing. Exhale, Warrior Two, place your back heel down. Extend your arms out, straight from your shoulders, and breathe. So we've got the right toes pointing straight exactly forward. And with your left foot, turn your left toes slightly more forward than your left heel. So we do have an angle to the back foot, so it is not parallel to the short edge of your mat. Straight. And close the front of your pelvis a little more to the top left corner of your mat. Just slightly move your right hip back and your left hip forward. Then turn your rib cage open on top of that so that the front of your heart faces the side of your mat. Then straighten your right leg all the way. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, triangle. Place your right hand down. If you'd like a prop or a water bottle or anything that you have handy, you could put your hand on something if the floor feels far away. You could also press the back of your right hand to the inside of your right pant leg if you want to be even higher than that. Same idea as before. Slide your right outer hip slightly back. Close your left frontal hip bone slightly down and forward. Then turn your rib cage open. Turn your left chest open. And extend up higher through your left fingers. Stay here, take a huge breath in. Exhale, warrior two. Stand up and bend your right knee. Inhale, reverse warrior. Place your left hand on your left leg and reach your right arm away from your right hip. Rather than turning open to the ceiling, close your right chest toward the side wall. And reach longer out through your right fingers. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, Chaturanga or down dog. Put your hands down, step back, and lower slowly. If you're still moving, inhale, up dog or cobra. Lift your heart, lift the crown of your head. Downward dog, exhale. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Inhale, Crescent Lunge, rise to standing. Exhale, warrior two. We need a nice long stance in warrior two. So I want you to feel like your right foot is way far at the back of your mat. It's really important to point the left toes straight exactly forward. And then equally as important, angle your right foot so your heel is turned back more than your toes. So the back foot is always turned in warrior two. Then instead of expecting any kind of twisting in the knee or the hip, close the front of your pelvis slightly forward. So the angle of the back foot, back knee, and right hip are all turned slightly forward. That'll give you more freedom to feel the hip opener in the front leg as you bend your left knee straight over your left second toe, rather than the tendency of it being pulled to the midline. Turn your right rib cage and your right chest open on top of your pelvis so that the front of your chest is open square to the side. Okay, straighten your left leg all the way. Inhale, reach forward like you want to touch the front wall. This makes the left side body really long. Exhale, triangle. Place your left hand down to the inside of your left leg, either on the floor or on a block. If your front leg locks, like I'm unfortunately demoing, unlock your knee. Give it a micro bend so your muscles are working. Bring your awareness to your right frontal hip bone. You can touch it if you want to, the bony part in the front of your pelvis on the right side. Instead of fighting to turn that open away from the floor, close your right frontal hip bone slightly down and forward. Then move your left hip crease backwards underneath your body. From there, turn your right rib cage and your right chest open away from the floor. Here, take a deep breath in. Exhale, warrior two. Stand up and bend your left knee. Inhale, reverse warrior. Reach up and back with your left arm. It's a side stretch for the left side body. It's not a twist or a back bend, so we're not turning open to the ceiling. Your right hand is light on your right leg. Reach more up and back as you breathe into your left side. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga or down dog. Put your hands down, step back and lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Open your rib cage to the sides like an accordion opening. Downward dog, exhale. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Inhale, Crescent Lunge. Exhale, Warrior Two. Keep your right knee bent. Inhale, reach forward, make your right side long. Exhale, extended side angle. Place your right elbow onto your right thigh, or hand to block, or hand to floor. Same idea as we talked about in Warrior Two and Triangle. Take your right hip from the side to the back, and close your left frontal hip bone slightly forward. And place your left hand on your left hip. Look down at the floor in front of your right toes. Reach your right fingertips for that point that you're looking at. If you had your hand on a block, you can take it with you. Push off your back foot, half moon. You might take a few steps to get there. Your right hand is on the floor or a prop underneath your right shoulder. When you wobble, your right toes will start to turn, angling toward the left. Don't let them. Point your right toes straight exactly forward. You can either keep your left hand on your left hip or extend your left arm to the ceiling. Flex your left foot and press strongly back through your left heel. Just like in all the previous poses, we're not trying to fight the left hip open away from the floor. If you need more of a challenge, turn your eye gaze to look up or close your eyes. Take one more inhale. Warrior Two. Exhale, land your left foot at the back of your mat. Inhale, reverse warrior, reach up and back. Exhale, Chaturanga, or skip it and meet me, holding in downward dog. Good work. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Inhale, Crescent Lunge, rise to standing. Exhale, Warrior Two. Inhale, reach forward, make your left side body long. Extended side angle, exhale. So you can put your left elbow on your left thigh and hold it there. Or you can put your left hand on a block or on the floor, inside or outside of the left foot. Close your right frontal hip bone slightly forward. Reach your right fingers away from your right heel. Lean the back of your heart more backwards. Then place your right hand on your right hip. Look down at the floor in front of your left foot. Reach your left hand for that place, or take your block with you, or makeshift prop. Push off your back foot, half moon. Sanskrit name Ardha Chandrasana. Point your left toes straight exactly forward. Now I know I've been practicing at home some too, and sometimes I'm on a carpet or a rug. Be really nice to yourself if you're balancing on carpet. It's really difficult. So yoga mat squishy, carpet squishy, not easy to balance. You could take your right arm and reach it up into the air. Flex your right foot and press strongly back through your right heel. I have come so close to falling twice, I can't believe I haven't fallen yet. Take one more huge breath. There it is. Exhale, Warrior Two. Land your right foot at the back of your mat. Inhale, reverse warrior. Reach up and reach back. Exhale, Chaturanga or down dog. Step your right foot when you're ready. Step your right foot between your hands and set your left knee on the ground. For this already done, half splits. Left knee is on the ground. Start to straighten your right leg. But we'll turn it into a different pose. Move your left hand to the right side of your right leg. Walk your hands in your upper body to face a little more to your right. If you don't feel an outer hip stretch yet, in addition to or in place of the hamstring stretch, flex your right foot a lot and start to angle your toes to the right, like you would want to set the razor edge of your right foot on the floor. Next pose is Pigeon. Walk your hands around to the top of your mat, rebend your right knee. You might have to pull your right heel as you move your foot to the left. You might have to pull your right heel really close into your body to be able to set the right knee forward of the right heel. Move your left kneecap back as much as you want or can, or your body wants. And do make sure that your right knee is wide to the right of your hips. And lower onto your forearms or rest your head onto something. You can untuck your back toes if you haven't already. And make sure that you find a sustainable amount of sensation. Of course, you don't know how long, but you know we've got time here. So if you're feeling something extreme, back away from it. The last couple of breaths here, how can you use your breath to serve you? Can you soften something that doesn't need to be tense? Hey, downward dog. Step your left foot forward between your hands and set your right knee on the ground. Half split, start to straighten your left leg. Point your left toes straight up and stack your hips over your right knee. Then move your right hand to the left side of your left leg and turn your upper body around to your left. So you can play with the movement of this pose. If you feel too much, bend your left knee. If you want to feel more, turn your left toes open to the left. So you would be angling the razor edge of your left foot closer to the floor. So the goal here, like I said in the first side, outer hip stretch. So IT band, maybe a little bit lower than Pigeon, maybe in a similar place as Pigeon. Lower on the leg, I mean. Okay, Pigeon, walk your hands back around to frame your left foot. Heel toe your left foot across to the right. If your knee isn't going to touch the ground, pull your heel closer in and set your left knee down forward of the heel. It's okay if your hips stay high. If you have the space in your body, move your right knee more backwards on your mat. Lower to your forearms. Or rest your head down onto something. You can rest your head on your forearms or a pillow if the floor feels far away. Can you relax your belly and your jaw? Can you stay here in your body and in the sensation and in your breath, even though it's a longer hold than we've had during this class? That's our 2 minutes back to downward dog. It's the last down dog of class. From your down dog, go ahead and lower down to your knees. Sit upright, sitting back on your heels with your knees together. I'm going to talk you through these poses, but I do want to tell you what we're going to do so that if you already recognize the names of the poses, you kind of understand where we're going. The first pose I'm going to teach is a child's pose with wide knees, like we've already done, but I'll encourage, because we've spent a lot of time hip opening, I'll encourage even a little bit more sensation. So almost like a pose that doesn't really resemble child's pose anymore because the knees go so wide. For that, I'm going to turn myself sideways on my mat so that I can keep the padding of my mat underneath my knees instead of going off onto the floor. The second bus stop, if that wide knee child's pose isn't going to give you enough stretch in the inner thighs and in the hips, would be moving towards a frog pose. So if you know frog pose, don't worry, I'll talk you into it if you don't know it, but if you know it, you know where we're going. So from a tabletop, whichever direction you want to face is cool, or grab your blankets for extra padding. So the first pose is big toes touching. Touch your big toes together on each other. Wide, wide, wide apart as you lower down to your forearms. Difference between child's pose, you can absolutely do like a child's pose with your arms outstretched. Place your elbows on the floor for me, and maybe forehead to floor. If you prefer staying on your forearms, that's cool too. So for this first variation, you're moving your hips back toward your heels. If you want to go farther, if you want to go closer into frog pose, you actually will have your forearms underneath you so that you can shift forward. Instead of hips towards heels, place your hips in line with your knees. So I crawl forward a little bit. I am bearing weight in the forearms and in the elbows. And my knees are in line with my hips from side to side. From there, you could flex your feet. I don't know if that comes across on the video. Flex your feet so that your toes point out and away from you. I'll turn to the side for the sake of a demo. So my knees stayed wide, but I have taken my heels apart so that there are 90-degree bends in the hips, the knees, and the ankles. That's not so bad. In frog pose, to feel less sensation, move your hips forward. To feel more sensation, shift your hips back a little bit, not toward your heels, not like you're moving toward your heels, but just back an inch. Of course, the wider your knees come apart from each other, the more hip stretch you'll feel. Only be here for a couple more breaths. And to come out of this pose, you can either slither forward onto your belly or slide your knees together toward each other, or a combination of the two. There's no wrong way to come out of it. And then we'll meet one more time kneeling like we started. Sitting back on your heels with your knees together. Close your eyes and take a non-judgmental inventory of what is moving within you. The memory of physical sensation is very real in the body. The physical after effects of the pose. There's a physicality of how your breath is moving in response to that sensation or in response to being still. There is other movement within you that is not physical, so can you pay attention to the flow of energy in your body, the emotions? And pay attention to the being who is observing this movement. So all together, take a huge breath in, fill your lungs all the way. Open mouth, exhale, sigh. Lie down on your back. Plant your feet on the floor so that your knees are bent. We'll do this too. So we've got the feet planted, the knees bent. Separate your feet wide to the edges of your mat and let both of your knees fall to the right. When your left foot stays over to the left and you let your knees fall to one side, instead of a twist, you'll feel internal rotation of your left leg, so the opposite rotation of what we've been working on a lot. And you'll feel a quad stretch in the front of your left thigh. If you don't feel that enough, reach down with your left hand and pull your left heel toward your left hip. Just a couple breaths. And back up through center, other side. Keep your feet wide and let your knees fall to the left. It's mostly important that the right foot stays wide to the right. If you don't feel enough, you can hinge down and pull your right heel closer up to your right hip. Lift your knees back up through center, close your feet hip width distance apart, and this time we'll cross the way on top of the left leg. So no space between the thighs as best you can, so it's knee to knee. Reach your right arm to the right on the floor and twist, drop your knees to your left. Your knees don't have to touch the floor. In fact, if you feel too much of a twist, you can either support your knees with a block or even place your right hand on your left shoulder. As you kind of close more to your left, you'll feel less in your spine. And lift your knees back up through center, unravel. Other side, cross your left leg on top of your, reach your left arm out to the left. Drop your knees to your right. And drop your chin to your left. Lift your knees back up through center and unravel your legs. Just hug your knees to your chest here. So you could either do hands on shins, you could do knees apart, knees together, hands to thighs, hands to knees, or forearms around the shins, really whatever works. You can rock side to side or move your knees around. And as we prepare for Shavasana, there is a song at the end of the playlist called Ajna. It's my go-to Shavasana song, of course. So if you'd like to switch the playlist to that last song, I always include a song with no beats, no lyrics. Unfortunately, not for you to relax to. And when you are ready for Shavasana, release. Extend your legs straight out on the floor in front of you. Reach your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms face up. And make yourself really comfortable. So if you need to fidget around or use props or do anything else to make yourself comfortable, take your time and settle in. Close your eyes, but relax the corners of your eyes and soften the muscles of your face. Soften even your breathing, so we don't try to breathe deeply anymore. There's a softness about the entire experience, physical body and the breath. And then instead of trying to think about this seemingly unattainable quality of an empty mind, so just let go of that idea. And instead be aware. Be aware of your thoughts. There's so much power that exists when you watch your thoughts. You can watch them come and go without allowing them to carry you away with them. Ultimately, you are not your thoughts, but you are the being who is observing your thoughts. So sit with that awareness and stillness and softness that you deserve. begin to deepen your breath. And by movement in your hands and in your feet. By movement in your arms and in your legs. And rock your head gently from side to side on the floor. Stretch your arms behind you on the floor. Fetal pose, bend your knees, roll onto either side, and rest your head on your bottom arm. Take a moment. And press your weight into your top hand and press up to a comfortable seated position. Close your eyes if they aren't. Bring your hands to prayer at your chest. Bow your mind to your heart. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Again, my name is Laura. Namaste.